3 weeks to a championship will be crowned. A champion will be crowned. But let's take a look, and we'll break it down. But first, let's take a look at the tip times. Kansas against Missouri Valley champion Drake, 3:30 tip time. Belmont, Ohio State, two really hot teams at 12:30 tip time. Stanford, Oklahoma State at 10 o'clock tip time, a late game. UCLA Pacific at 6 o'clock tip time. Baylor, Washington at 7 o'clock tip time. Davidson, Wisconsin, Green Bay at 8:30 tip time. Indiana, Kent State, 3 o'clock tip time. Georgetown, Cornell, 6:30 tip time. Louisville, Radford, 2 o'clock tip time. Wake Forest, West Carolina, 3 o'clock tip time. Mississippi State, NC State, 2 o'clock tip time in the very first game to kick off the action. Rhode Island, Northeastern, 8:30 tip time. Arizona, Villanova, 9:30 tip time. Memphis, Manhattan, 6:30 tip time. Michigan State, Georgia Tech, 6 o'clock tip time. Stony Brook, Duke, 7 o'clock tip time. Now let's move over here where Kentucky, Southern Methodist, 6 o'clock tip time. Marquette, Cal Poly, 9:30 tip time. Arkansas, Boston College, 4:30 tip time. Gonzaga, Nevada, 3:30 tip time. Connecticut, IUPUI, 7 o'clock tip time. Texas, South Carolina State, 8 o'clock tip time. Georgia, Grambling State, 4:30 tip time. Utah, Lehigh, 5 o'clock tip time. And then lastly, USC, Georgia Southern, 8 o'clock tip time. Syracuse, Alabama. Syracuse gets the defending national champion Alabama, 6 o'clock tip time. Texas A&M, Texas Arlington, 6:30 tip time. Oklahoma, Montana State, 2:30 tip time. East Carolina, Michigan, 2 o'clock tip time. Tennessee, Louisiana Lafayette, 3 o'clock tip time. Miami, Purdue, a 10:30 tip time. And North Carolina, Long Island, 2:30 tip time. So now, let's take a look at all the brackets. On this amazing 3 weeks to a championship, it will be an absolutely amazing ride. Let's take a look now. The Kansas Jayhawks, number 1 overall seed, well deserving. They got a tough 8-9 game though. Belmont and Ohio State. Belmont was just ranked last week, and Ohio State just won the Big Ten tournament. That's going to be a fun game. I personally really like Belmont. Like, I know Ohio State won the Big Ten. I like that. No. Oklahoma State just won the Big 12 tournament. I think I like them to upset Stanford, just because Stanford has really not done well in my tournaments in the past. And then UCLA is a mystery. You don't know what you're going to get from them. And you never know what you're going to get from anyone, but this is a team you really don't know what you're going to get from. They could go all the way to the Final Four. They could also be out in the round 32. We don't know. Let's move down where the Davidson Wildcats are, and a lot of people think they're overrated at the 3 seed. Southern Conference did get 3 teams in. So that's pretty impressive for that league. Baylor, I think, though, is a real dark horse. Washington doesn't scare me one bit. Baylor's a dark horse. They could beat Davidson in the second round. Indiana, and then you got Georgetown and Indiana there. Kent State won the MAC, but I don't really think they have much of a chance. Indiana, Georgetown, that would be an interesting matchup. Like, I think I'd give the edge to Georgetown right now, but really it's anybody's game. And I probably have to pick Kansas to come out of here. So, yeah. Now let's move down to the bottom bracket. Louisville, they're the top seed. And I think most of the scarier teams are on the bottom half of the bracket. That's part of a magic to Wake Forest, West Carolina, an interesting 8-9 game. You never know what could happen. That's the amazing thing about these 3 weeks to a championship. Wake Forest and West Carolina, this is another coin flip game. Take whoever you please. Mississippi State, NC State. Now, Mississippi State made an Elite 8 run last year. NC State's probably one of, or if not the last team in. So this should be, Mississippi State has the experience edge there. Rhode Island, again, A-10 champs. They opened with Colonial champ Northeastern. They were a 4 seed just like last year. But I don't think they're nearly as scary or as loaded as they were last year. Bottom half of the bracket, that Arizona-Villanova game is going to be a lot of fun. Two teams that both have the potential to go very deep, and I think the winner of that will knock off Memphis. Michigan State, another dark horse team, but don't count out that Michigan State-Duke game possibility, but don't count out Georgia Tech. This is a real good Georgia Tech team. They really took Carolina to the wire last year before losing in the second round of the NCAA tournament. So this is gonna be in my Final Four pick in out of this region is Duke. I think they got a pretty good setup. They match up well with Stony Brook. Michigan State, Georgia could be scary, but beyond that, I think they could take Memphis, Arizona, or Villanova easily. I think they would beat Louisville if it came down to it. I have Kansas, Duke at the Final Four in that section of the bracket. Let's move over here to where Kentucky is, and they open with SMU. That should be an easy one there. Marquette, though. A Kentucky-Marquette round 2 matchup could be kind of fun. Marquette has been, they've been up and down this season. They've had an up and down season, but they've shown they can win the big games when it counts. It's all about getting hot at the right time. If you get hot over these 3 weeks and win 6 straight, you're the national champion. So that's all it's about, getting hot at the right time. Arkansas has the capability to do that. Then you got Arkansas against Boston College, a great story. First time in a while but they're back in the NCAA tournament. Incredible story, but they draw kind of a bad matchup in Arkansas. But that's going to be an interesting game. I like both teams. Whoever advances, I don't really care. Then my user team and my legacy. The one I carried, Nevada. They won the WAC. The WAC was so bad this year. They were the only team above 500, though. So they haven't really faced a team like Gonzaga. So I really think Gonzaga will be fine there. But, Gonzaga, I think, will probably lose the next game to either Arkansas or Boston College. Bottom half of the bracket, Grambling State, the SWAC season tournament champs. First ever tournament, they're a 10 seed. They get the SEC tournament champion, Georgia. Utah, though, the Mountain West champs, they're playing with a ton of momentum. I really like this Utah squad. I have to take them out of this region. I have to take them all the way to the Final Four. I think IUPUI also upsets UConn and actually beats Texas and goes to 16, but the Utah Utes are my Final Four pick out of that region. Now let's move on to the final region, where you got the USC Trojans there. They'll get by Georgia Southern. That's an easy win. Syracuse, I think, knocks out the defending champion Bama. Oklahoma doesn't scare me one bit. East Carolina, Michigan, that's an interesting matchup. East Carolina also comes through. I think I'm going to give Michigan the edge there. Tennessee, they haven't been playing great basketball. I don't know where they're going to go. Purdue, Miami, that's an interesting, fun, a really late game. But that's going to be a fun 7-10 game. And a possible North Carolina Miami rematch round 2, but don't count out Purdue there. That's going to be challenging. And my Final Four pick out of this region, I'm going with Texas A&M. Actually, I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to surprise the world and shock the world. Texas A&M is going to just go to the Final Four, just based on the matchups and how I think out of all the regions, this is probably the weakest. So I have Texas A&M against Utah. I have Utah over Texas A&M. I have Duke over Kansas. I have Duke and Utah playing for the championship. My national champion, the Utah Utes. So the Final Four, 7 o'clock and 8:30, with the championship being at 6:30. So the road to the Final Four starts now. Enjoy all the excitement of March Madness. Or really, the tail end of it.